Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back with Dr. Nancy Gaines Dillard here joining us today. Again, it's Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine and so much more. Welcome back today. How you doing?
I am fantastic, Jill. Thanks for having me on the show today.
You see, I would be fantastic too if I lived in Arizona, I think. What is the weather? Got to ask.
It's going to be in the 70s today, but we're in the desert, so it's winter time for us.
Yep.
It gets down in the 30s and 40s, right? So that's a little chilly.
Yeah, a little chilly here in New York. But by the way, happy holidays to everyone listening today. We have our own Dr. Nancy with us, better known as Dr. Nancy Knows, known as the COVID doctor. I mean, she's got many accolades, many names, but the truth is she has a true passion and desire to help you, and she can help people worldwide. So why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nancy Gaines Dillard of Dr. Nancy Knows talk show, Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine. I have two practices here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I am family medicine board certified integrative healthcare practitioner. I do consulting all across the country with regard to lifestyle management. It's a choice, living your best life through nutrition and blood work. Based on an individual's deficiencies, I can create a supplement just for you. And I can do that all over the country. I do telemedicine, weight loss, aesthetics, stem cells, IV vitamin drip, and I specialize in COVID. It's just happened to fall into my things that I do, and it's just one of my many passions. And Jill, we'll talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on.
For sure. I know things, numbers are up. There's mandates, the masks and the vaccinations. There's so much to talk about. But in general, I mean, you work with all types of people. And are you telling us today that it'd be wise that everybody here around the world should get their blood work tested because that can help suit them, whether nutrition wise, supplement wise, body wise? You can find out so much just from a simple blood test. Really?
Well, health and prevention. Ignorance is bliss. There is no reason why you don't know or want to know about how to live your best life. And if you don't know what's going on inside, then you won't really know how to do that. Standard blood work is essential for every adult. Once a year, basic blood work to check your cholesterol, to make sure you're not diabetic, high blood pressure, just simple things like that. And your urine too. I interviewed a gentleman on the Dr. Nancy Knows show recently who suffered with kidney disease and dialysis, and it was 100% preventable if he had gotten screening, and he talks openly about that. So it's so much more. And then that's just baseline blood work. But then for those individuals that as we become wiser in life, and baseline blood work is all normal, but we still feel a certain way, not normal, out of sorts kind of way. I dig a little bit deeper with micronutrient testing and genomic testing to see what it is that you might be predisposed to genetically, familial, environmentally as well.
I was just going to ask the word about genetics. So the what was it? How did you say it?
It's micronutrient testing and genomic gene SNPs.
Got it. Okay, because just a random question. I know some people do the over the counter genetic test like 23andMe or just to find out who they're related to. Fine, and now they're coming out with different tests. You can pay more money to find out if you're genetically predisposed to certain things. And it came up the other day. I got an alert that I'm genetically predisposed to having type 2 diabetes. But what does that mean? And that's all that's going to tell me. I need a doctor to say, hey, this is what you should be doing or not doing now. So it's great I got the information, but I don't know what to do with it. Can I just personally ask your advice? Because I'm sure there's other people out there this happens to do. They get an alert and it's like, this is what's wrong, but that's all it tells you.
Yeah, absolutely. Seek out a professional, a healthcare professional that can counsel you and talk to you more in depth about how you can live your best life and not go down that genetically predisposed journey that your ancestors had.
Got it. Okay. So that's a good wise fact to do. But those are some of the things that you'll be able to test with genetics. Could you give me some examples of what things are you looking for when you do your genetic testing specifically?
Absolutely. Gosh, inflammatory markers, because inflammation leads to disease and dis-ease, right? Cancer, all these different types of diseases are based primarily on inflammation as well. So
Okay.
inflammation markers are important. I have a genetic test that tests over 101 gene SNPs, and those are all kind of predisposing an individual for certain types of disorders, like you just said, Jill, diabetes, high blood pressure, autoimmune disorders, cancers, these kinds of things. It's important to know, where you stand in life, just for your own good and also for your loved ones as well.
And let me ask you this, for someone like myself, I live in New York, you're in Arizona, and you have clients all over the world. How does it work if they want to work with you? How do you get your blood tested? Do you send them a kit? Do you send them to their doctor? How does that part work?
That's really great. So my information is drnancys.integrativemedicine.com. You can schedule online under a medical consultation, or you can give me a call at 480-669-6452. And yes, I have laboratories all over the country that, once you connect with me and I set you up for blood work, you go to the portal and type in your zip code, and your lab nearest you is where you would go to get your blood work. All of that takes about 2 weeks to process. It uploads to my portal. I get that information. We come back online virtually and discuss the plan of care.
Ah, thank you so much. I wasn't sure because I'm like, I don't want to take my own blood. I can't. I'm not licensed. I'm not good at it. And then I wouldn't know what to do after that. Great. So then you get the evaluation, then you start working with the person from there and then start a certain plan, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we're going into the new year, everyone, and I do want to say Merry Christmas to everybody from
Merry
Dr.
Christmas.
Rose and Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine team here in Arizona. Before I forget, but we're going into the new year, and it's already begun with Thanksgiving and your work environment and all these goodies that come in, and clients bring in, and always thinking they're helping, sending in all this goodies, and it's it's so tempting. So, but when you pick something up, you look at it seriously and say, do I really need this? So if you can answer that factually, then you'll know whether you do or not, right? So
Yeah.
overindulging is prevention too. So you can choose to do that or not do that in advance. But in the event, sometimes that willpower gets the best of you. You really just want to consider living your best life, and it's a choice. It's an everyday kind of thing. It's not a fad. It doesn't come and go. And so the sooner you incorporate that into your being, your mindset, it can change your life.
Wow. Well, let me ask you now. Of course, it is the holidays. My trick. I've been drinking a lot of water the past few days because I know that one day out of the year I will overindulge. I will eat snacks. I will eat bad. I usually eat good for the most part. But when I try to do a few days before, I try to eat a little less and drink a little more water, make myself feel full. I'm like tricking my body. Is that good or unhealthy? You're going to tell me I shouldn't do that. But I'm trying to convince myself now to stock up on liquid so I feel fuller. So that day I don't eat as much. Does that make sense?
The water is excellent. It's so good for your body. And if individuals really want to know how much water they should get in a 24-hour period, is whatever your weight is divided by 2, and that's the amount of ounces that you need. And so, yes, if you're going to overindulge in some of the man-made products out there that have preservatives and or just extra more than you normally do, you want to help your kidneys flush that all out, because it'll come out of your skin and your face, or not just weight gain, but
So weight divided by 2, that's the ounces. Okay. And then
yes. So for example, if you're a 100-pound individual, you divide it by 2, and that's 50. That's the amount of ounces in a 24-hour day you would need, right? So that's a simple way to live. But again, yes, the water, the kidneys just need to purify and just kind of cleanse the body out of all of the extra things that a person is indulging into, so that it just helps you. Homeostasis is key in the body.
Should we be just skipping desserts? Sugar's
No,
bad for us, isn't it? What I mean, is it true they say sugar's worse than fat? It's confusing because doesn't sugar turn to fat? Can you explain that?
Oh, I absolutely can. Thank you for asking that. Carbohydrates turn to simple sugars, and simple sugars really can turn into fat, right? So it's how the body kind of processes it, right? But just over time and evolution, we don't hunt for our food anymore. So the body just tends to want to store that. So, you eat it and it just doesn't want to let it go and wants to hold on to it. So complex carbohydrates are better than simple carbs. Some individuals, when they work out, they like to carb load so that they have the energy to kind of get through their workout, and it sustains them. But yes, it does. Carbohydrates turns to simple sugars, which leads to fat, which can pack on the pounds.
Got it. Well, thanks for the advice and tips. What else did you want to share with us today?
Wow, yeah. So we talked about lifestyle and nutrition. On Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine, another website here, landing page, NG Cares, NGCARES, cares.com, leads you to a wellness page where I promote garden towers. And Jill, we talked about this a little bit before when we first started interviewing back in November. Garden towers. So most of the country is dormant and you can't grow anything outside. And, we've talked about how the soil, with pesticides, and it's just not nutrient rich anymore. And even when you buy organic, you may not be getting all the nutrients that you can get. So garden towers allow an individual to, grow their plants and vegetables in their home all year round with water and light. So if you want more information about that, ngcares.com. So yes, lifestyle is a choice. And, it can be a little bit pricey to live a really great life. I want to tell you that because, there's lots of fast food restaurants every corner of the block, the dollar meal here, the dollar meal there. But, do you really know what you're getting? So, when you can safely grow your own product, and know and cook it, you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. So living your best life in 2022 it's right around the corner, and you can start now. It's never too late.
Beautifully said, because that's, it's sad, unfortunate, but a lot of us look at the whole New Year's resolution and it's time to do it. A lot of people give up too quickly, but honestly, I think it's a good time for a start, and it makes you feel good, but we got to get you to commit and to stick with it. And sometimes that could be an issue. But the one thing that I've been telling you for the past, 2 months is that the COVID, as sad as hard as it's been on so many people in so many different ways, it has inspired me to live a better life because it makes you value how precious life is. And, unfortunately, same thing today. It's still an issue for everyone. And it makes me say, now is the time. Now is the time, right, Nancy? I mean,
well, it definitely is. Now is the time. So I want to talk about Dr. Nancy Knows, the talk show as well. And Jill,
yes.
I have not even extended an offer for you to come on the show, and I would love for you to come on.
Thank you. Would love to.
I mean, everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
I have celebrities on the show as well. And, the journey of getting to where you are is a testimony in its own right. And
Yeah.
I have individuals that are experts in their field of industry that come on the show that inspire and bring awareness to many people across the country. And I would love to have you on the show, drnancyknows.com. And, you don't have to be in Arizona for me to interview anyone. And so if you feel like, listeners, viewers, that you're making a difference and impacting your community and bridging the gap of disparity and bringing us all together, and you're doing that, I'd like to know. I'd like to know. And I'd like to bring
Beautiful.
more awareness to it as well.
Clearly, because Dr. Nancy knows, she likes to know everything, and she does know a lot of everything. Great. That's wonderful that you're putting that out there to our viewers and listeners today. So if anyone's interested in being on her show, you got a story, and you're right. Everyone has a story, and it's important. And everyone is doing something to impact others, especially more than others. And if you're out there listening and watching and want to share, please reach out to her. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. So listen, the other thing too is we're at, like, I don't know, what is this, phase 5 of COVID and Omicron variant? Like, it's just never ending, actually. We live in this virtual world, and a lot of us had to be forced into it. I've been doing it here at the practice. I'm authored in telemedicine. So it was easy enough for me to just continue to do some of that I have always done. But again, a lot of people have just found a way to communicate, and virtually has seemed to really work for many people. I do want to say that with COVID, it's important to stay up on your immune system. And so eating well, again, it just speaks to exactly what we're talking about as well. When you eat badly, you're not getting the appropriate nutrients in your body, your immune system can actually drop. And then, I want to say that with COVID, Zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, your B vitamins are all essential. All essential. You want to boost your immune system and have it better than just average, right? Just better than just average. Social distancing is, always key too as well. Those of you that are vaccinated and you are gathering for the holidays, we can't stop you from doing that, and you shouldn't be stopped, right? Because I do these segments every Monday, and they're called Magnificent Mondays. And you can find me on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, all of my Instagram handles. Ask Dr. Nancy. Dr. Nancy knows. And it's just putting out motivation on Mondays, because Mondays can be kind of mundane, but they're magnificent Mondays for me. And one Monday I put out, did you know that hugging someone can increase your immune system, right? So
Never knew that.
yes, it can
Okay.
spirits, decrease anxiety and depression. So the power of touch and hugging is really, really important too, right? So we do need to stay connected after all. Monoclonal antibody therapy is all the craze right now too. It's been around for a very long time. It's very, very relevant. And I just want to let everyone know that if an individual tests positive for COVID within 10 days or having mild to moderate symptoms, and there are a whole host of other criteria that might even put you at a better advantage to get monoclonal antibodies. But just those three things: testing positive for COVID within 10 days, and what was my last one?
Mild, moderate
Yes, mild to
symptoms.
moderate symptoms qualify you for monoclonal antibody therapy. It will decrease the symptoms and its severity, decrease hospitalization and death.
Now, who do you ask for that? I mean, our doctor's office is overwhelmed. It's, the people talk about they can't get into the doctors. There's not enough COVID testing sites available now. So, how does that work? And then the hospitals, they don't want you coming there if you have COVID unless you're sick. So, it kind of leaves us a little in the dark, and no one on the news is explaining all this. So, thank you for taking the time to, explain this. Let's say we have those three areas, right? We qualify in a sense, and we want this treatment. Where do we go? Who's going to listen to us? Who's going to help us?
Yeah, there are websites nationally where a person can go to and find information on individual facilities that
Okay.
are offering
Offering it. Mm-hmm.
offering it. I think it's NICA is a national. I just pulled it up. National Infusion Center Association, NICA. If you go to that website and type in your zip code, it can give you facilities and organizations that are actually actively testing, infusing, offering monoclonal antibody therapy. I'm listed on that website as well in Arizona, but it's national. It's a national site. Now, I can tell you that once the antibodies or these monoclonal antibodies come in, they are gone really quickly. And so you have to shop around and find where you can get the infusion therapy. There's some sub-Q injections too. Regeneron, I think that is another product that can help, lessen the symptoms of COVID, hospitalization, and death as well. Now, regarding the COVID testing, I know, we were really, really good at that at one point nationally, and now we find ourselves behind the ball with that. And, I tell everyone to just go to Google and try and find out who might be testing, who has them. It's so unfortunate. I did recall that our leaders recently say that millions of home kit tests are going to be mailed out soon. So I'm not sure if they're going to be in time for Christmas or New Year, but that is some information that I did hear
Yeah, I
recently.
mean, let me just ask you nowadays, because we're already in this, you said phase 5. If you feel like you have symptoms of COVID, do we go out and run to the doctor to get tested? We have all these studies about these millions, hundreds of thousands, but at the same time, not everyone's running out to get tested to be documented. Is it important for us to get registered in the system to say, hey, we've had it for the numbers, or should we be self-testing at home or just quarantining if there's no really major symptoms? It's a little confusing still.
That is an excellent, excellent question. And I'm not sure if I'm going to really know how to answer that too, right? Because eventually I think everybody's going to get COVID, whether we're vaccinated or not. It just seems to be just how it's happening.
Love
So
that you said that. I love your honest opinion about it. I agree. I'm no doctor, but
we're going to get it.
yeah.
So self-quarantine for 10 days, self-test if you choose, stay at home, try not to infect anyone else. I mean, the best sound advice I can give you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sad to say, and I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but the discussions I've had with people in the medical field, I work in the news station as well, and it's not being rude by saying survival of the fittest, but the truth is, yes, a lot of us have underlying conditions that are sick that really need to be extra careful. Some of us don't have any underlying symptoms and you're dying from it. You don't know, but it's really something that's going to go through everyone, no matter what. I mean, it's just on the news. Everyone's vaccinated. Everyone's coming down, even the booster shot, you're still getting it. But the truth is, the statistics and facts. Is it true that if you do at least have your 2 shots and now your booster, it lessens the severity of COVID? Is that a fact?
That is definitely a fact.
Hallelujah.
And natural immunity. If you've had it, you are stronger and better.
Wow. Good. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right. And how did you, just for those tuning in today, how did you come up? Well, how did your clientele come up with the name COVID doctor for you? How did you start with, do you mind just sharing that story? I think it's very important to know about Dr. Nancy Knows when it comes to this.
Absolutely. March of 2020, I was asked by a pharmaceutical company, say, hey, would you like to start offering COVID tests? And I was like one of a handful of doctors in Arizona. And I said, absolutely. And, I root for the underdog. I come from humble beginnings and I'm not a privileged individual. People put individuals in categories and I'm an average person making
Great
my
thing.
way and contributing to greatness in society, right? I want to do my part. And I discovered that all these, we all did discover that the testing centers were opening up and they were funded. And there were many, many, many people that were not able to get retested, for one, because you couldn't go back through the line once you got tested once, because they just really wanted to document that. And, these agencies were getting paid to test once, not retest. So there were people that needed to go back to work, school, they needed to fly, go someplace else. So I tested everyone that needed to be retested. I'm family board certified, so I tested all children. The parents were like worried sick because they were potentially exposed through their childcare or children in school, but no one wanted to test them. A lot of the doctor's offices were not testing, so I tested children. Nick Lowry, Kansas City Chief Hall of Famer, I teamed up with him. He does a lot of philanthropic work in the community across the country. His nonprofit, Champion for the Homeless, and my nonprofit, Family Matters Healthcare Foundation, donated hundreds of COVID tests to test the homeless and the veterans at a time that they were not being looked at in this country. So I got termed the COVID doctor. We went all local news networks, all of them, and even national on Paris Faulkner national.
Oh, wonderful.
So it was really great. And to this day, I still test. I do COVID protocol for individuals that actively have COVID. So I'm one of those doctors that will prescribe ivermectin for you. I live in a state where we can do that here.
Wow.
And I do COVID protocol for a detox from vaccination because it's a man-made substance. So some of the preservatives and all, they're all natural supplements, detox, supplementation for COVID vaccinated individuals. And now I offer the monoclonal antibody as well. So COVID testing, antibody, nose test, I do all of that. That's what I've become.
And would you mind sharing that term one more time with me? Ivermectin, what was it?
Oh, ivermectin. So yeah, it's not for everyone, and there's a certain protocol. You have to, have COVID within 2 to 3 days. And
is that what the President Trump had last year? Is that what?
Well, he was talking about hydroxychloroquine, but yeah, statistically, I interviewed another colleague of mine, and he and I are going to be doing some really great things moving forward. We have already. But he came down with COVID and he survived it after being intubated twice and had a heart attack. So stay tuned for his book to come out with new protocols on how to treat COVID and not die. Honestly, you want to stay tuned, drnancyknows.com. So great information.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we still have 5 minutes left here with you on the show. What else do you want our listeners and viewers to know here before the holiday season?
Yeah, okay. So listen, choking is a thing, right? We're eating and being merry, and Dr. Nancy's Medical Training Academy, I have a passion about CPR, and I think everyone needs to know CPR. So in that course, I teach the Heimlich maneuver on ways to how to prevent someone from choking, and then a life-saving skill set that you will have a lifetime to save someone's life. You don't have to wait for when you now want 911 and first responders to come. When you're equipped with this life-saving skill set, that you can provide effective chest compressions that can save someone's life. So CPR, Dr. Nancy's Medical Training Academy. I'm
And we
passionate.
could get our license online, certification
So yeah,
online.
Jill, that's an excellent question. I have always, since the academy has opened, offered courses two different ways. So the traditional in-classroom session takes about 4 to 5 hours. And then I have a hybrid. So it's online course where you can watch all of the videos, test out, and I get a notification at the academy saying this student has done their book work portion of
Mhm.
the course. And now they just need to come in to do their skills check with the mannequins and the AED and the Heimlich maneuver. So there are testing centers all throughout the country where you could pay for the course online from me and then find a testing center in your state near you
Good.
to do the skills check with the mannequin. So thank you for asking that.
That's really good. And the truth is I'm not current. 4 years ago was the last time I took my course, and I got certified because I'm a U.S. Coast Guard captain. So I got my captain's license, and then I renewed, and then I redid the CPR training, and I let it go. Do I still know what I'm doing? I think. Look at me. I don't know. I don't feel confident enough that I haven't done it and I haven't followed up on my skills. So, and that's another thing too. The upkeep. Is it every year you're supposed to get recertified in it, or every
It's every two.
two? Okay, yeah, I'm out of date on it, but I mean, I was at a restaurant 3 years ago. Thank God. And at the time I was certified, but doesn't matter. The woman was choking at the restaurant. She must have been in her 70s. She was with her husband, and she turns out she was a nurse when she was younger. And everyone just sat there, was looking at her like this. And no one knew what to do. And I ran over. I have goosebumps. And I was at my cousin's baby shower. And I ran over and I grabbed her and I started doing the Heimlich from what I know. And again, but you still don't know like because you've never really done it, right? You practice, you train. And the goosebumps I have now. Next thing you know, the food came dislodged from her mouth. Her husband was, oh my God, I got goosebumps. She was crying. She was fine. Cops came, but it was like, and you look around and there's a whole restaurant full of people and everyone just looked like this. And I'm like, well, I think I know what I'm doing, but you're still not confident enough. And it's like, ran into action and I did it. I felt so good until this day. We took a picture, we talked, we hugged, and it was like, it's one of the greatest stories. Every time we go in the restaurant, we talk about the owners. But think about that. Out of so many people, over 100 and something people, nobody stepped up or they were too afraid. And it's scary. And within minutes, I mean, how long does it take to do brain damage if you're not getting oxygen to the brain? How long?
Minutes really go by. Like every second, every minute goes by, the chances of survival and recovery. So you may get the person back, but the anoxia,
Yeah.
the oxygen deprivation
Deprivation. Yeah.
brain, how do you want to come back? You don't want to come back an invalid. So yeah,
No.
it doesn't take long at all. 4 minutes. I mean, really not long.
And then in your training, do you also deal with, let alone adults, but what about like infants, or is that a separate course, or is it trained all in one?
Yeah, so I have a course that's all children, all ages, right?
Okay.
So generally that's the most
That
popular.
would be important, I would say. Yeah.
Then I have one that's specifically centered around pediatric CPR, for those individuals that work in pediatrics or
Daycare or,
exactly.
okay, as a
And then
teacher.
PLS for healthcare providers.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you. And we still have 2 minutes left. What else do you want to share, Dr. Nancy?
Wow.
I
Okay.
know it happened so quick.
So, I enjoy talking to you, and, going into 2022, I just expect great things. And,
Good.
you know, mindset is everything. And if you think you can, you will. And if you think you can't, you won't. And don't let anybody discourage you, right? Discount badness. Only positive vibes warranted here, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
And hang out with individuals that make you feel better about
Lift
yourself.
Lift you up. Yeah, you're right. Don't be the ones that drag you down, not the Debbie Downers. Hey, New Year's here, 2022. We're good through it together. COVID again, still, battling. But again, it's time to live our best life now. And if anyone knows that more than you, Dr. Nancy knows. Remind us again how we can reach out to you. Give us your websites, the foundations, and all as well.
So Dr. Nancy's integrativemedicine.com. drnancyknows.com, on Facebook under those two tag names, Dr. Nancy's Integrative Medicine, Dr. Nancy Knows. On Instagram, the practice is under Ask Dr. Nancy, AskDrNancy. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Roku.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm on Amazon. I'm on all podcasts too, like Google, Android, Apple, Pandora, iHeart, all of them. Dr. Nancy Knows is the keyword as well. 480-669-6452. Dr. Nancy's MTA.org, Medical Training Academy, is the CPR site. Family Matters Healthcare Foundation.org is, my nonprofit as well. So great. I'm always here to help.
And for those of you out there who have a story, and I know we all do, if you're doing great things out there in your community, please reach out to her. Again, she'd be interested in having you on the show. Thank you. Pleasure speaking with you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And looking forward to after the New Year, I guess, or after Christmas when we speak. Are we talking next week or no?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know the schedule. No problem.
But I know we'll be talking in the new year too, Jill.
Perfect. Sounds great, sweetheart. Have a great holiday. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.